In this video, I'm going to show you end-to-end how I produced this ad using only Keynote. You can use this technique to create motion graphic animations and other animations without having to hire a motion graphics designer or a video editor. It's a super simple hack that you can use if you're a founder or a marketer and you're just trying to up-level the quality of your ads. All right, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to open up this basic white one. Then I'm going to want to go to Document. And I'm going to want to change the slide size from 16 by 9, select custom slide size, and then I just copy the 1920 over into the height, and then I'm just going to type in 1080 into the width, and that'll give us our 9 by 16 ratio that we're going for here. It's good for reels and stories and things like that. So now I've got my document size. So now that I've got this size right, I need to get the product that I'm actually going to have in the ad. So I'm going to scroll over to the Ritual website. By the way, Ritual is not a client of ours, but they do have good products that I think play well with advertisements. Okay, so I like this stress relief product. I'm going to go down and I'm going to copy and paste this image. I'm going to zoom in so that I get as much pixel density as possible. I'm going to do Command-Shift-4 on my Mac, and then I'm going to grab this while holding Control, and then that's going to allow me to copy that image to my clipboard. When I come back over into Keynote, I can paste this, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Format. I'm going to go down to Image. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Format, I'm going to go down to Image, and I'm going to say Remove Background. All right, rather than removing the background here using Apple, which you can do by going to Format, you can click the image and you can go to Image and then you can say Remove Background, and then you can click and kind of drag in where you want it to remove the background. What I'm seeing here is that it's kind of removing a lot of the actual pill itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to drop a shape in that is going to become the mask for so that I can remove the background. So I'm going to go to Arrange here on the image itself, and I'm going to rotate this so it's nearly vertical. And then I'm going to make this shape into a pill. Okay. Okay, something that I like to do is I like to change the style of like the mask to a different color and drop the opacity down so that I can really zoom in and see what I'm working with here. So I'm going to try and get it lined up as much as I can with the image. Again, I'm going to rotate the arrangement of the image so that it's kind of perfectly vertical. It's about as close as I'm going to get it. It doesn't need to be perfect here. And then I'm going to crop that in, and I'm going to move this down as well. Okay, and then I'm just going to drag up, use that handle to drag up. So this is about as close as I need it to be here. So then from here, what I'm going to do, let's see if we can get a little closer on this corner. Just a tad bit closer. Maybe a tad bit closer up here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click both of these. I'm going to select both of these. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut. I'm going to Command X, and then I'm going to Command Paste over top of that image. I'm going to grab both of these objects. And by the way, if you ever lose track of your objects, you can always go up into View, and then you can say Show Object List, and it'll show you that we've got an image on top of this mask shape. So I'm going to grab both of these. I'm going to go into Help, and I'm going to type in Mask, and I'm just going to say Image Mask with Selection. And so there you have it. We've got our kind of background removed here on this pill. So this is what we're going to be working with. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take all of these pills, I'm going to shrink them down. I'm going to take this pill, drop it onto the screen, and I'm going to duplicate it a number of times, just kind of rotating them naturally. I'll change the size a little bit here and there. And I'll kind of sporadically put these throughout the screen. Again, playing with the size and the kind of the distribution here. Maybe some are larger, maybe some are smaller. These are all kind of on 45-degree angles, so let's like change it up a bit. Yeah, let's come up here. Let's make this one a little bigger. Take this one. Can be a bit of a tedious process, eh? Okay. I'm going to put a couple of these guys above and below the the frame as well, so that when we do our motion effect, we have some good kind of coverage here. We'll see where that comes into play here in a second. So then I'm gonna take some more of these guys, I'm gonna drag them, duplicate them, and put them below the frame. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna rotate and kind of disperse them. And this is actually pretty important here to still make these a little different. You know, if they look like a pattern that you've just copied and pasted, the effect probably won't be as compelling. Okay, so this looks pretty good right now. So now that I've got this dispersion here, let's maybe take a couple more. Put them below here. I'm not gonna do too much with these ones. I'm just gonna kind of drag them around. Okay, so that should be fine. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here, I'm going to grab all of these, and then I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to group them. So once these are grouped, I'm going to go into here in the top left, I'm going to duplicate this slide. So now I'm on the second slide, and I'm going to take another one of these pills. I'm going to click in, I'm going to take this one, I'm going to paste it in, I'm going to increase the size of this one, and then I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it into Figma. So this is the only thing that Keynote can't do, is unfortunately it can't apply a layer blur in here. Even PowerPoint can do that. So once I'm within Figma, the only thing I'm doing here is I'm going to apply effects, and instead of it being a drop shadow, I want this to be a layer blur. And so then I'm going to click into this little matrix here, and I'm going to increase the layer blur to, let's say, 40 maybe is a little bit much. Yeah, I'm going to increase it to 20. So now I'm going to take this layer blurred object and I'm going to get it back into Keynote. So I want to first click the layer. I want to do Command-Shift-C, which will copy as a PNG. I'm going to go back into Keynote and I'm going to paste that image in. And so this is what's going to kind of give us this interesting parallax effect. And so this is what's going to give us this interesting parallax effect because it looks like this object is closer than the ones behind it. And so I'm going to repeat that process of just taking some of these larger ones and I'm going to paste them throughout on top of the smaller ones. Playing with sizing and you know, the placement of these throughout and the rotation. Again, I'm going to get some above and below the frame. I want there to be some overlapping on the sides to give me the best effect here. And this actually probably isn't going to be final. We'll actually come back in and do kind of like a final pass on the dispersion of these objects later in the tutorial. Okay, let's maybe get a couple more of them in here. It looks like we're maybe missing one right here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, a couple more in here, just to get down here so that I get full coverage. All right, this will be the last one for now. We might change it up. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, now that I've got some of these big ones in here, I'm going to go and I'm going to zoom out, I'm going to grab all of this, I'm going to hold shift while I'm clicking the underlying layer, so all I'm doing is selecting the ones on top. I'm going to go ahead and right click and I'm going to group these. So now we have these kind of two different layers here, if you can see that. As I'm grabbing, you can see the different layers. All right, so then I'm going to grab this layer, I'm going to duplicate it, and then in this third slide here, I'm going to grab both of these layers, and I'm going to drag them up in the screen, and I'm going to make sure to move the blurred layer, the bigger layer, I'm going to move it slightly up slightly more than the layer above under it. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow us, when we use Magic Move, it's going to allow one layer to move more than the other and create a really nice looking parallax effect. So how do we get the animation in here? The thing I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both of these slides. I'm going to go to Animate, and then I'm going to say Add Effects, and I'm going to do Magic Move. And so you can see a little preview of what that is going to look like when I push play. So that is kind of what the effect is going to look like. Let me show you what it would look like if I just moved both of these layers up the same, if I moved them up kind of the same way and I didn't move one side more than the other. Here's what it would look like. See how that's much less dynamic? So that's the importance of moving one layer up just a little more. So that top layer, moving it up just a little more and doing that gives you, again, that nice effect. So I'm going to go back into here. This is now my layer that has the cool parallax effect. All right, so to get a concept of maybe what I want to put on the ad, I'm going to go into an application called Foreplay. And essentially this lets you look at advertisements from various creators and your competition. So I'm going to go into the Discover tab. I'm going to type in Ritual. And then I'm going to go down to Brand, Ritual, and then I'm able to see some of their advertisements. So I'm going to find one that is specifically an image ad, so I'm going to add filter. By the way, this is a paid platform, but another way that you can do this for free is you can use a tool called Facebook Ad Library. It's actually built by Meta. It does the exact same thing. It allows you to see any advertisers' advertisements that they are currently that they're currently using. All right, so once I'm in here, I'm just going to scroll down and I'm going to see if I can find an advertisement for that particular stress relief vitamin, so I can understand how they are already talking about their stress relief vitamin. All right, so I kind of like this. Meet our chill pill. All right, that's an idea. That's an idea. I like this format. Okay, I think I have enough to go off of with that kind of meet our chill pill. Meet our chill pill. So, yeah, I like that. So let's do meet our chill pill. This is what we're going to go off of in terms of how we're going to think about creating this advertisement. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to select text, and I'm going to zoom in, and let's say meet our, that's going to be kind of the first text, and then we've got chill pill here, and I'm going to try and replicate their style. So I'm just going to use, and I'm going to go into format, text. I'm going to grab, I like using SF Pro. It's kind of like the standard Apple font. I'm going to click in here and make it medium. I'm just trying to match that. It's a little bit heavier weighted. So maybe semi-bold is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say meet our, and then for the chill pill part, I'm going to find some serif font. Let's pump up the size here. So we've pumped up the size to 120. Let's find a good kind of italicized. That's looking okay. I mean, it's not perfectly on brand. Let's keep going. I'm going to look for something that's a little bit closer to the brand. It needs to be a little bit more scripty, if you will. Okay, I'm kind of liking this. It's got a good weight to it. All right, I'm going to decrease the size of this. Also, one of the things that I want to do is I want to clear out a little space in here for this text. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to pull these guys up a little bit more so that we have plenty of space to play with our typography. I'm going to center both of these. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of this text. So I'm going to go into the ad itself, and or I could go onto their website. Let's grab the brand color. So I'm just going to copy and paste kind of this brand color over as an image. And then you'll see that I can select this text. I'm going to go into the little color dropper here, and I'm just going to select that dark blue brand color. So now we have, I'm going to pull this down so that we can reference that yellow if we need it again. So I'm liking this. Now one of the things that I want to do is I want to put a little bit of a, I want to put a cool effect in here so that, remember, we're already doing this little neat transition, but what if I could start out with all of this on screen and actually give it kind of a cool shrinking and growing effect. So I'm going to take Chill Pill and I'm going to increase the size to 150, maybe pump it up a little more, 160. And I'm going to take this Meet Hour, I'm going to drop the size down, let's say to maybe 42. And so check out this. This is how cool Magic Move is. So now what's going to happen is as we're getting this kind of parallax effect, we're also getting this grow shrink effect on the Chill Pill thing too. I don't think that I want the size of this to go even, I want it to blow out or to shrink even more. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pump that up to 200. There we go. That's a little bit more. I like that. So that's our Meet Our Chill Pill. And maybe the final text size of this should be even a little bit bigger too. So let's do like 140. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Maybe a little more space here. So let's see how this looks. Yeah, okay, I like that. So now that I've got this on the screen, I want some way to show the benefits of this product, because if I go into my advertisement here in Foreplay, I'm noting that they're putting quick stress relief, positive mood and support, cortisol level support. They also repeat that verbiage on the website as well. So like cortisol level support, quick stress relief, positive mood. And I also kind of like this graphic here. It gives me an idea for an animation that we can create using this kind of bulleting and having these little items fade onto the screen. So let's actually play with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another text layer here. Also, just so you can kind of frame this up, I'm thinking like if I'm watching this ad, one of the things that I want as a user is I want to be able to know what company is showing me this from the outset. So I'm going to click over into Ritual's website. Maybe, do they have a yellow version of this? So I'm actually just going to look up Ritual logo SVG. Normally if you type that in, it'll give you a version of the logo with the background removed, which if you click in here and you see that little pattern behind it, it generally means that the background is removed. So I'm going to copy that image. I'm going to come back in here. I'm going to paste in Ritual, and I'm going to put that on the bottom of the screen. Maybe I'll put it the width at something like 190. I'm going to leave some good spacing here below it. And so I'm going to take that, I'm going to copy it onto both the bottom and the top layer. So now you know from the outset that this is a Ritual ad. I'm noticing that this is kind of, you're getting cut off on the bottom of the screen and you're not actually seeing the whole advertisement here. Okay, so let's go back to creating that kind of effect where we're showing the benefits of this thing. So if you want to see what this is kind of going to look like in here, this is what I'm thinking. I just copied that, pasting this in. So imagine these benefits just kind of scrolling and fading and moving on here so that we can see the benefits of this chill pill. So let's go ahead. I'm going to leave this on the screen so that I can kind of match it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate this meet hour. I'm going to drop this down to maybe 52, just visual hierarchy, making sure that it's at a lower kind of hierarchy than some of this stuff up here. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and copy cortisol level support. I'm going to click in here and I'm going to do Command Option Shift V. It'll paste with to match the formatting. I'm going to go left align here for this one. I'm going to duplicate this now, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to get that serifed font. So let's do the sticks to text. Let's do sticks to text, and I don't want that to be bold. To me, that kind of looks like this. So let's go in here. I'm going to copy this Shodan Ashwagandha. I'm going to double click in, Command Option Shift V. This is looking a little big to me, so I'm going to drop this down to maybe 42. To me, that's looking a little better, again, with kind of the visual hierarchy here. So then I'm going to take these, I'm going to group them. Maybe punch this up a bit. By the way, if you just use your arrow key here and I go once, it's going to move it kind of 1 pixel. If I hold shift while I'm doing this, it'll move it up a little faster. I like that. I think it's getting a little closer to this and it feels a little bit more grouped up. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to right click and I'm going to group this layer. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to say add shape. I'm going to add this circle in here. I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to use the color picker to grab that color. I can zoom in. We just want it to be, yeah, there we go. That looks about right. We want it to be aligned in the center of this thing. I want there to be about ample spacing there. Okay, so this I can now take and I'm going to group the whole thing. And now this is my layer that I'm going to have float on and to show the benefits of this chill pill. So I'm going to use a mix of animations, so the kind of layer level animations, which would be like fades and moves and scales, and also magic move animations that are done at the slide level. So the first slide, when I move down from this slide to this slide, I don't want this thing just kind of showing up. To me, that feels a bit drab. To me, that feels a bit drab. So I'm going to click in on this layer. I'm going to say build in. So we're under animate, build in, add effect. And I really like the fade and move build in effect. So I'm going to go down to fade and move. Right now it's moving from the left. Because we have all this motion moving up screen, I'm going to also say fade and move in from the bottom to the top. And then I want to set the travel distance down to 15% so that it doesn't travel as much distance. And it's just kind of this nice, elegant fade and move onto the screen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in again. I'm just at the layer level. I'm clicked into this grouped layer. I'm going to click build order. This allows me to play with the ordering of these animations and when they come in. So I'm going to click that layer and I'm going to say start after transition. And so what that's going to allow is once we transition from this screen to this screen, that layer is going to automatically fade and move onto the screen. So that is my my use for that fade and move transition. Now I want to get the other bullet points in there as well. So I'm going to duplicate this slide. Let's click out of the color picker. So what I did is I duplicated this slide. And now I'm going to duplicate this layer so that I can get another benefit onto the screen. And remember, we want 3 benefits on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and work ahead a little bit. And I'm going to see if I can't, if I agree, if I think that that's kind of like ample spacing here for these things. So I think it's looking maybe a little crowded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this section. I'm going to move everything up just a little bit. I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to click this up 3 times. just to give us a little bit more space so that everything's not feeling so crowded. And now we've got spacing there. All right, so now I can kind of center. That to me feels a little better. I'm going to go up in here and I'm going to grab everything and I'm going to move it up 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now everything's at the same level. And then I'm going to come up here. I'm actually going to leave this where it is. Let's see if that still makes sense for the transition. Yeah, I think it still looks nice. And then I'm going to recenter this in the middle of the screen, or in the middle of ritual and right here so that we have good kind of balance. All right, so this is what the final thing is going to look like here with all three of them. This is what the first one looks like. So how do we build from one to the next? So first we need to build on the second benefit. So I'm going to go into the left-hand panel. I'm going to leave this one with 3 bullets. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to click into the one directly after the one with just 1 benefit. I'm going to delete out the third bullet here because I only want 2 bullets in this. I'm going to grab both of them and I'm going to move both of them down so that there's good balance here. And so with the magic move effect, this actually alone will create a pretty cool transition effect. So when I now go from, one of the things that I need to do is I need to delete out on this second slide. I need to click into this layer and I need to delete out these animations because we don't want these animations anymore. We're now going to be using magic move animations to get the second bullet onto the slide. So even with this, when I click play, and I move from this slide to this slide, I just advance from the first slide to the second slide. See how it gives that kind of cool effect? Now, one of the things I'm seeing is that the magic move transition is set to 2 seconds. We're really going to want to set that down to maybe 0.5 seconds, which will give us a faster transition between the two, and it'll look a lot better. So this is the layer level animation. That is the screen animation, pulling on that second bullet. And then to get that third bullet on there, I already have it, so let's see if this works right here. So yeah, so now we've got all 3 of those. Maybe one more thing that I can do to level this up a bit. I really like how they've got this kind of line that's going and connecting these things. That seems like a kind of a reproducible brand thing. So one thing I'm going to do is I want to grab the color of this line. So I'm just copying this and I'm going to go over here. I'm going to paste this in. I'm going to pump this up so I can just see it better. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in a line that I'm going to animate coming between these bullets. So actually, let's come to this this second slide. I'm going to drop this line in here that connects these 2 bullets. Let's zoom a bit. Okay, so I now have this line that's connecting them. I want to change the color, so I'm going to go into Format. Let's get this build order out of here. I'm going to go into Format, Style. I'm going to grab that color dropper. Let's make sure I can actually see the color here. So I'm going to grab the color dropper and I am going to grab that color. So that's the color. Okay, so let's make sure that this line is not overlapping too much here. That to me doesn't look very good. So I'm going to get it to, it comes right up to that bullet. It's still overlapping just a tad. I'm really nitpicky on these details. You don't have to be as nitpicky as me if you don't want to. Okay, so to me that's looking pretty good. Maybe it needs to go over 1 pixel so it feels a little bit more centered. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. So I'm going to delete out that color layer. And so to get this line to animate on here and look crisp and cool as well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into the layer. I'm going to go to animate. I'm going to say add an effect. I'm going to go wipe, and I'm going to wipe from top to bottom. And so what's going to happen here, if I click into the build order, I want this effect to happen directly after the transition, and I only want this to take 0.2 seconds. Actually, let's do 0.5 seconds. 0.5 seconds. So now here's what's going to happen. So if I go from this slide to this slide, 0.5 seconds is a little long. I'm going to say 0.3 seconds. So you click into this slide, that animation happens, and then the magic move happens, and then you see that we're connected by that line. It's happening automatically immediately after the animation. So I'm just going to grab this line, and I'm now going to copy it into this slide. All right.
So this is the one with the 3 bullets. Now, because I don't want this to animate again, I'm going to have to delete that animation out here in a second. Before I do that, I'm going to copy and paste this bullet down to this line. I'm going to leave the animation on this one. I'm going to delete the animation out on the first one. Okay, and again, let's make sure that we don't have any overlap. No overlap. Okay, so now when we move from the 2 bullets to the 3 bullets, again, we should see that we have this automatic kind of effect there that's taking place. Okay, so this is pretty much our ad. The last thing I want to do is maybe put a call to action in here so people know the action that I want to take. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to duplicate to one final slide. So on this final slide, what I can do is I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to take these layers and I'm just going to move them up off of the screen. You'll see what that looks like here. If I go to Magic Move, see how they just kind of rise up off the screen. See how they kind of rise up off the screen. I'm going to delete off all of this text here because I don't want that necessarily to fly off the screen, but I want to take, I think I could do something cool if I grab this ritual logo and I pull it up into the middle of the screen. And then I'm going to put a CTA under the ritual logo. So to get that CTA in there under the ritual logo, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make kind of a button. So I'm going to grab this rounded rectangle shape. I'm going to pull it into the shape of a button. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to pull it here. So I'm going to grab the color again that I'm going to go into Format. I'm going to grab our color picker and let's get that custom blue color in here that we liked. I can delete out that, okay. So we got the custom blue in here. I'm going to make this blue, so I'm just grabbing the color picker, I'm selecting that, and then I'm going to type in here, let's pull text, I want it to be in SF Pro, and let's make it medium, and I also want the text to be white. So I'm going to click into Style, Text, and I'm going to go down here into this text color picker, I'm going to make it white, and I'm going to say Shop Stress Relief. And by the way, if you're wondering where I got that from in terms of the idea for that CTA, some of the buttons on here that you'll see, get 20% off, some of them say like shop on here. So shop the bundle. So I'm just going to say shop stress relief. To me that looks pretty good. Maybe I'll just kind of elongate this a bit to give it a little bit more balance. Okay, that's looking pretty good to me. Okay, so a little more balance. Maybe I drop this size down to 44. Just make it so it doesn't overpower the ritual. So to me, this looks a little bit more balanced. I'm liking this. We're centered right under ritual. And then maybe I want to just refresh on why somebody would want to shop this thing. So I'll put like a little like tagline under there. So I'm going to go grab this text that's the most similar to what I want to put under here. Okay, so I'm going to grab in here. I'm going to drop this size down to maybe 40. Let's try 42. And I want to maybe pull one of the things that they say here. Okay, so maybe I put something in here like support normal cortisol levels and reduce stress. I'm going to take that and I'm going to drop it to 2 lines. I don't like how this is semi-bold, so I'm going to drop this to regular. To me, it just looks a little unbalanced. This is looking much better in my opinion. I'm going to pull this button up a little closer. The last thing I want to do is I think I can make a pretty cool effect. I saw something on their site where this image, if I just click through here, this image is really neat to me. I think I can maybe grab this image and have this kind of come onto the screen using Magic Move as well. So I'm going to do Command-Shift-4 on Mac to screenshot. I'm just going to grab this whole thing, this whole hand, and I'm going to hold Control while I'm copying it, and then I'm going to paste it in here. and I'm going to go ahead, now I'm going to use the background removal within Keynote. So I'm going to go to Image, Remove Background. It does it pretty good because there was good contrast between all the layers. And so now I actually kind of like the sizing of that and the placement of that too. But to make the effect look really cool, all of that movement is coming up screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, I'm going to go to the layer above it, and I'm going to paste this layer, and I'm just going to drag it off of the screen. And so what it's going to do now is it's going to transition from this slide to this slide. It's just naturally going to rise up onto the screen. So let's check out that animation. So that's happening way too fast in my opinion. I'm going to go back to the animate magic move, and I'm going to change this to 2 seconds. That to me is too slow, so I'm going to change that to maybe 1 second. See how that looks. To me that looks way better, but that animation of the button coming on, that looks weird to me. And also I want to clear out a bit more space. I'm going to drag this up. I'm actually going to I'm going to use that extra space to increase the size of this hand and pull this hand on here more fully. I think that's actually, it looks more captivating in that way. So I'm going to grab this layer, I'm going to go back to our original, click into this one, the hand that was below, and I'm going to replace it with the larger one and drop that down. Okay, and then just to make this, to make the button and the little thing below it feel a little bit more coherent when it comes onto the screen, I'm going to go ahead and add a build effect to both of these. I'm going to use that same fade and move transition. So I'm going to click into both of them. I'm going to say add an effect, fade and move from bottom to top, 15%. And then what I need to do is I want these things to fade and move on after the initial animation. So I'm just going to click back into that build order tab, and then you're seeing this button is going to come on. Right now it's on click. I'm going to change it to after transition. I'm going to click into this second layer, and I'm going to say with build one. So I want it to come on slightly after, but this is a little trick. So I'm going to say with build one, but I'm going to put a delay to 0.2 seconds after build one. So it's going to be this kind of like staged effect. So check out what this looks like. To me, that looks much more elegant. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to call some final attention to this little button. So I'm going to add a final animation. I'm going to say add effect. I want it to jiggle a little bit, but that's really aggressive. I want it to jiggle for maybe 0.4 seconds, and let's make it a small jiggle. That's interesting to me. I like that. So I'm going to also say that this happens, that jiggle effect happens after build 2. All right, so let's see what we got here.
All right, so once you have the full slide build, you're going to click on the slide that you want to start the recording on, go to record, go to, I'm going to go to clear recording right now because I think I had previously recorded here to show you this. I'm going to clear the recording, go to record slideshow. It's going to start from the slide that you're on. I'm going to make sure that the microphone is deselected, and I'm going to click this little red item. You need to be a little bit mindful of like the pacing of the video. So I'm going to go ahead and because there's going to be certain elements on the screen that are going to animate themselves. There are going to be certain ones that you need to click through. You can clean it up in post-production if you throw it into CapCut or throw it into After Effects or what have you. You can play with the timing, but you will need to be a little bit mindful of advancing the slides appropriately. So I'm going to go ahead and click record and click through the entire build. All right, let that first one come on. Make sure people can actually read it. All right, that's it. Click stop. And then what you'll do is you'll come in here and you will say export to movie. So you can find that under file, export to movie. Make sure it's 1080p, slideshow recording. Click save. Let's say chill pill ritual animation, full length video. I'm just going to go ahead and save it to my desktop export. It'll create the movie, and here you go. That is the full recording.
All right, so I hope that was helpful. I know that got really detailed there for a second, but once you start playing around with some of these features in Keynote and you understand how to use the magic move functionality, it really can be powerful. You can create tons of different animations with this stuff. And to me, I think they look really professional, and it's much, much more efficient than going and teaching yourself After Effects or using another convoluted animation software. So if you have different animations that you want me to test out, or you would like to understand how I would think about maybe reproducing them in Keynote or in PowerPoint, PowerPoint can do this as well, let me know and comment in the description, and go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you want more of this type of content. I'm going to start putting this stuff out, these tutorials, hopefully once weekly, and we'll build up a big body of different ads that you can go and produce on your own.